Welcome into Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, joined by Wade Neely as we come to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes here on this Top 5 Tuesday. At the end of the show, Wade and I will be giving you our top 5 sports movie fictional characters. So, no Brian song, anything that's factually based won't be included, so we figured we might want to throw that in. But top 5 sports movie fictional characters will be on display here at the end of the show. Before that, we'll be visiting with Chip Walters in the second hour, as we do most every Tuesday, getting the lowdown on what's going on campus in Murfreesboro with the Middle Tennessee State Blue Raiders. And in the next segment, and Wade, I've said it a million times, timing is everything. We are set to visit with NUBYJAS WILBORN of AllTitans.com in the next segment. And the Titans made a little bit of a splash today. We don't want to give it away if you don't know, but I feel like if you're watching this show, you probably know, but still. Pretty big move. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Neely?
Yeah, not done yet are these Tennessee Titans, and they kind of continue to give you a little preview of a direction that one side of the football might be gravitating toward, and in terms of their strategy on one side of the ball. And it certainly looks like that strategy is coming into play because, they have made a nice pickup, I think.
Pretty promising. We'll also be talking a little NBA. We'll be talking a little MLB. We'll be talking a little CFB, a little college football. So, we're going to kind of be all over the map here over the next couple of hours. So, stick with us. It's going to be a fun ride. We're looking forward to it. And it's better to be inside, looks like, than outside, Wade.
Yeah, it's not too looking too promising here in Pulaski. We did get all of our games in yesterday. Today is going to be a bit of a dice roll, and looks like tomorrow could be a bit of a dice roll as we kind of come up on the brink of the end of these district tournaments here. So hopefully Mother Nature will do us a kindness and just kind of get on out of the way for us here.
Yeah, I think the good thing is we've got a little bit of a cushion before region play starts on Friday, but you would prefer to use that cushion getting ready for region play, not still playing district games. So we will see how that goes, but certainly it is looking a little dicey here for the next few hours. So we'll see how that goes. And as we consider the next few hours, let's go ahead and get into yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
All right, folks, let's kick this thing off. Baseball scores from yesterday. We can tell you that Columbia Academy defeated Clarksville Academy 2-0. It was Goodpasture 3, Franklin Road Academy 2. Beach picked up an 11-0 win versus Green Hill. Lawrence County knocked off Giles County 9-1. Lincoln County dispatched Columbia 1-0. It was Columbia Academy defeating Providence Christian 6-3. Columbia bouncing back, splitting on the day, as it were, as they defeated Spring Hill 10-0.
Let me stop you real quick.
Okay.
Columbia Central defeated Spring Hill 10-0. Then lost to Lincoln County 1-0. These games are not in chronological order, unfortunately.
Key distinction there. Good catch. And so Columbia does go again 1-1 on the day, defeating Spring Hill and then losing to Lincoln County. Stewart's Creek picks up an 8-0 win versus Cookeville. Wilson Central defeating Stewart's Creek 12-0. Softball scores from yesterday: Siegel 11, Blackman 0. It was Columbia 7, Spring Hill 0. Cornersville was a 15-0 winner versus Culleoka. DCA knocking off Friendship Christian 13-3. Eagleville picks up an 11-0 win, or 11 nil versus Fayetteville. Also 11-0 versus Green Hill and Hendersonville. Green Hill defeating Hendersonville there. 27-0 was the score as West Creek gets throttled by Henry County yesterday. Henry County has put up some impressive run contest this season, and they delivered again yesterday. 27 runs in the shutout versus West Creek. Hollow Rock Brewston 10, Houston County nothing. It was Lebanon 16, Laverne nothing. Loretto defeats Lewis County 10-0. Marshall County, somewhat of a stunner, defeats Lawrence County 4-3. Good Pasture 8-3 over Nashville Christian. Riverdale defeats Rockvale 3-2. Stewart's Creek picked up a 9-3 win versus Wilson Central, and Summertown defeats Mount Pleasant by a score of 8-1.
On the pitch, Antioch with a 6-1 win over McGavock. It was Blackman 5, Riverdale 1. Loretto downs Culleoka 7-2. Mount Juliet 2, Gallatin 1. Hillsborough with a 3-0 victory over Lawson. Hunters Lane edges Cane Ridge 3-2. It was Murfreesboro Central 4, Giles County 3. That was in penalty kicks, Wade?
Yep, penalty kick shootouts. Match began at 7 p.m., and the last penalty kick was in the net at 10:43 as Murfreesboro Central, Magnet, and Giles County played one of the craziest soccer matches you'll ever see.
Wow. Richland blanks Wayne County 2-0. It was Wilson Central 4, Smyrna 2. Lebanon with a 2-1 win over Stewart's Creek, and Stone Memorial blanks Watertown 7-0. High school baseball action today. The only game that we are aware of is a 4:30 start over at Nolensville as the Knights take on the Spartans in the District 10 4A championship game. Summit would need to win twice. Second game will follow if necessary. In softball, Riverdale is at Blackman at 5. Also at 5, Lebanon plays Stewart's Creek. Eagleville is at Huntland. At 6 o'clock, Columbia Central hosts Warren County. We've got coverage, by the way, of that Columbia Central Spring Hill game from last night at mainstreetmurray.com. At 7 o'clock, we've got Siegel and Oakland playing. Also, we've got Cookville at Smyrna. And time unlisted, Franklin County is at Lawrence County.
Boys soccer action for tonight, 5 p.m. kickoff as Hunters Lane is going to take on Overton. It will be Mount Juliet at Hendersonville, that match beginning at 6 p.m. At 7 o'clock tonight, Wilson Central is at Cookville. Also at 7, these games include Antioch versus Hillsborough, Lebanon versus Laverne. Siegel is at Oakland tonight at 7. And at 8 p.m., it'll be Green Hill who is taking on Beach. Major League Baseball action tonight. The Astros are at the Yankees this evening. 6:05, the game can be seen on TBS. The Red Sox and Braves will get underway just a couple of moments after at 6:20. That game can be seen on Bally Sports South. And a game that was played, is this a final? This is from earlier today?
This is a final. This is from earlier today. Breakfast with the Sounds.
Love it, folks. The Sounds knocked off the Durham Bulls 9-8. That game beginning early this morning. And the Sounds got a nice win. 1-run victory for Nashville again, 9-8 over Durham. And that, ladies and gentlemen, caps today's rundown.
Your top story of today brought to you, as always, by Piggly Wiggly over at Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options, as well as their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill in Columbia, bringing you our top story. Wade, was anybody else really going to win NBA Rookie of the Year other than Victor Wembanyama?
No, is the answer. Once upon a time, early in the season, Chet Holmgren looked like he might be a potential worthy adversary, and he had a great season. But in the end, it was Wemby. And in the end, it was really just kind of a question of would he play enough games to qualify for the award. And he ended up playing 71 games, so he made the threshold by a pretty good margin. And this guy is the consensus Rookie of the Year. What do we see? The 6th all-time unanimous Rookie of the Year selection. 21.5 points, 10.5 rebounds, nearly 4 assists, 3.6 blocks, 1.2 steals. This kid is barely kind of scratching the surface of what it seems like he's capable of. So, you know, as good of a segment and a bit as it would be to say that we were really shocked, I don't see how anybody else other than Wemby could take home your Rookie of the Year honors.
Wemby was the first unanimous pick since Karl Anthony Towns in 2015-16, received every first place vote. Chet Holmgren was second in almost as dominant a fashion, receiving all but one second place vote. Cane Ridge graduate Brandon Miller of the Hornets is your third place finisher in the Rookie of the Year balloting, receiving all but one. Well, that can't be right. He received one second place vote and 83 third place votes. Jaime Jaquez of Miami finished a distant fourth. So, and Holmgren, you know, I kind of feel like Holmgren's Rookie of the Year candidacy deserves a little bit of an asterisk just because it was his second year of pro ball. Now, he didn't play last year because of a foot injury that kept him off the floor all year. And that's, maybe I'm being a little pedantic, but I don't know. That strikes me as interesting. I think Brandon Miller should be your runner-up.
I see where you're going with that, and I could certainly make that argument as well. That's kind of just been the way that they've done it. If you miss time like that, you're eligible again. And so you're right. Brandon Miller had a great season, and coming into the draft, you know, there was obviously a million question marks about Brandon Miller for a variety of reasons, and he ended up having a great year with Charlotte. As Scoot Henderson, nowhere to be found even on this list. He had a really disappointing year with the Blazers, but in the end, it ends up being Wemby's kind of coronation, as it were. You know, he even got some real momentum. Rudy Gobert's almost undoubtedly going to win Defensive Player of the Year, but there was a pretty good contingent that was arguing that Wemby should have also potentially won that award, and I would not be surprised if he ends up winning that award in short order. As this kid it's just unbelievable the stuff that he can do, and that's on a team that he's on right now with the Spurs with zero help basically. And so if you could get him any sort of help, which presumably you will in the next couple of years, the sky is just unbelievable for this kid right now.
I was going to mention that he was certainly a bright spot, and possibly the bright spot for a San Antonio team that went 22-60. So, like you said, they've got certainly an opportunity to get him some help, and you almost have to get some folks around him, don't you?
Yeah, I think so, and that's going to be the question. You know, is how do you go about that? They are currently listed. The NBA draft lottery will be held Sunday, and they have the fifth best odds, around 10.5% to potentially win the pick again this year. This is by a large margin. I think a lot of experts are saying one of the weakest draft classes in a long, long time. So maybe that's not your strategy. Maybe you just try and get a nice piece in the draft this year to help, and then maybe you start. I think his star power is such already that there's going to be a free agent that it says, hey, you mean I can go play with Wemby and be coached by Pop? I don't really need to know much else. So I think he's going to slowly get some help. Maybe not this season. They could be a fringe playoff contender maybe next year, but then I think give him 2 more years, and then we really start seeing what this guy can do with a real solid supporting cast.
Yeah, you know, there's not a drop dead number 1 pick in this draft, and I guess there are those that would tell you if there is one, it's Zach Edey, and that's certainly not what what San Antonio needs. So, I mean, what are you looking for if you are San Antonio to come in to bring in out of the free agent market to pair with Wemby at this point? Wade, you watch a lot more NBA than I do, but I mean, is it a point guard that you're looking for to put with him right now?
Yeah, I think so. And it's interesting. You mentioned Edey, though. NBADraft.net, he's actually not even in the first round at the moment. So I think most everybody kind of is in the camp, kind of like what you had discussed the last couple of weeks. Like this guy is not necessarily destined for stardom by any stretch in the pro. But it has been interesting. There's another French kid who's kind of been in the mix. But to answer your original question, as far as to go number one, I think, yeah, he gets a great point guard, or he gets a guy that can shoot and maybe facilitate a little bit. I mean, he's basically a 7'5" point guard walking around out there at times. And so that's what's so crazy is this guy can do pretty much everything. But I think if you could get him in situations, really run some nice pick and roll stuff or some pick and pop for him, you get him some solid guard play and maybe add a little extra defensive stopper in the backcourt for a guy like him, and they should be in pretty good shape. Dalton Connect is right there in the top 5 for a lot of folks on their kind of mock drafts. Reed Shepherd is a guy from Kentucky that could be in the mix, but that's one strategy, right? The other strategy is kind of what we're touching on here is I think there's going to be a maybe not a flat-out superstar. I don't think LeBron is necessarily just going to bolt for San Antonio, but there's going to be somebody in the next year, if not this year, for sure next year, that links up with this guy. And we talked about the super team kind of being dead, but this guy is just such a unique matchup and a unique kind of phenomenon. I mean, he's the unicorn for a reason, and this is going to be fun to watch his career kind of blossom. And by and large, I'm knocking on the biggest piece of wood I can find. He stayed healthy by and large for the most part this season, which I think was really a huge concern for a lot of folks coming into his NBA career.
I'm kind of fascinated by the possibility of Wemby and Connect together. I mean, what does that look like?
That'd be a lot of fun to watch for sure, because talk about guys that can stretch teams out. Connect can do it with the best from downtown, but he can also give you a little size when you need it. And then Wemby can do just the same. I'm just kind of, if I'm a top point guard in this league, I'm kind of drooling thinking about the matchups that we could really present at teams. If I can slash or and kick out to him, I mean, this guy can shoot three at a very high level, kind of like Holmgren. And Holmgren is going to be fun to watch in this next round of the postseason here as they kind of continue to roll along, as those two guys are just extremely diverse. You shouldn't be allowed to be that good and be that tall at the same time. That's all I'm saying.
I just kind of, as many comparisons as there have been, there was talk at one time about Durant going to San Antonio. Was that maybe the comparisons between Durant and Connect are kind of hitting me some kind of way? I don't know, but that just looks really interesting to me with Pop and with those two very versatile guys in the front court. So
yeah, I think the sky's the limit. And again, we kind of got through one season of him staying pretty healthy, and if we can continue this, look out, folks. I mean, he shot close to 33% from downtown. And I ran through his numbers earlier. I mean, he's a walking double-double. He's going to get a quad double, it seems like. He got close at least 2 or 3 times this season. I feel like a quad double is definitely in play next year as he goes into his second full season.
And as he came into the league and as Chet Holmgren came into the league, concerns about both of them were around their size or lack thereof. I mean, do you see him bulking up? Do you see him having to bulk up to really, address that strength and health issue that you kind of alluded to there?
I think he probably, I wouldn't know if we get into the quote unquote bulk territory with him. I feel like his frame is so unique that is certainly the concern. And he's listed at 210. Maybe you toss a couple extra LBs on him, get him up to 215, 220. Not looking at anything drastic. It's not as if he has to gain, 30 or 40 pounds.
Right.
I mean, I think he's kind of got the rhythm. And the question is, I mean, it feels like the knees and the ankles and the feet are what's really kind of going to be the key areas, as we've seen with big guys over the years. It just seems like as long as he can potentially keep those working, keep those functioning, he's going to be okay. He is so much fun to watch.
By comparison, Giannis is 6'11", 243.
beefy boy compared to Wemby, no doubt.
Yeah. So Victor Wembanyama, your NBA unanimous Rookie of the Year for the 2023-24 season. Let's go ahead and take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. When we come back, we will be joined by NUBYJAS WILBORN of AllTitans.com, talking about the latest moves out at St. Thomas Sports Park. Stay with us when we come back to the Lee Company studios after this.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome back to Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton, along with Wade Neely, coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective abodes, and we are now joined by NUBYJAS WILBORN of AllTitans.com. And NUBYJAS, when I was putting the show together this morning, under you, I've got Boyd, Jones, ... because Tyler Boyd was in here last week visiting with the Titans. Zay Jones was in here or was rumored to either have been in here or coming in to visit with the Titans. And so just wanted to kind of get a feel for what they were looking to do at receiver. Well, we've gotten more than a feel. Boyd, formerly of the Cincinnati Bengals, signs a 1-year, $4.5 million deal with the Titans. After spending his last 8 years in Cincinnati, much of that with new Titans coach Brian Callahan. So fair to say they have upgraded the receiver room?
I would say so, at least as of now. And if you look at what Boyd has done, even though last year was his statistically worst year, I mean, it's still be better than pretty much everybody on the Titans last year, except for DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, just by comparison, speaking, he definitely would have been the second leading receiver on the Titans last year. Just that alone. But also, you got to remember, Joe Burrow was hurt. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Last year, they had a backup quarterback. Also, he's overshadowed by two pretty good wide receivers up there with DeMar Chase and Mr. Higgins. Okay. Tennessee native, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he's going to be the third guy. He knows it, which also means he's probably going to be the third guy here. But he's used to being that. And again, going back to something I've written consistently, I think is going to be, there is no bigger theme to the 2024 NFL season for the Tennessee Titans than finding out if Will Levis can play quarterback or not. Mm-hmm. That is what, I mean, wins and losses. Look, you want to win every year. Brian Callahan has said several times, hey, man, look, ain't nobody being patient in the NFL because it does stand for not for long. However, there is nothing more important than the Titans finding out if Will Levis can play. If Will Levis can play, that changes everything that they're trying to do. And as you can see with these kind of moves, they're trying to do everything they can to put a legitimate offense around Will Levis. So we're going to find out a lot about him.
One way or the other. And when you say, not a lot of patience and not for long, there's one person in that receiver room that has to be feeling that fact, and that is Treylon Burks. They're not waiting on him.
Well, look, I mean, you got to remember, Rand Carthon did not draft him, okay? That was the last regime. Now, he's a first-round pick, but again, he was not drafted by Carthon. We also see what happened with Caleb Farley, the defensive back who didn't get his fifth-year option renewed. He's kind of on one of those tight ropes. But, yeah, I mean, Burks got to show it. Now, oddly enough, the Titans had a practice today, and I was able to talk to a couple people before we came on here, and people are saying Burks is doing well. A lot of the feedback on Burks has been pretty good. He's been working hard, doing multiple positions. Hey, also, you can go 4 wide in the NFL. There's a lot of different ways to get in. You want as many good receivers as possible. That makes it difficult on defenses because the more you spread out, the more the defense has to spread out. That being said, the offensive line has to block well, but specifically for Burks, hey, he got to show it, son, because ain't nobody waiting on you, man. I mean, it's just a reality. Now, I saw him play when he was at Arkansas. I think he is talented enough to be it. I know injuries have held him back, but we'll see what progress he's made. And I will tell you this, time is not waiting for Mr. Burks. You better get it together quickly.
I think the optimist in me, NUBYJAS, would sign up for, though, Treylon Burks could be the best wide receiver number 4 in the NFL if potentially they get things together and if the Titans do deploy the 4 wide package. But there's a lot of buzz and a lot of excitement with this, what is perceived to be kind of the shift much more toward the pass. I'm curious, how much run do we really see sprinkled in? Because the Titans still have 2 pretty solid running options now with Pollard joining, obviously, Spears, who had a great rookie campaign last year.
Well, also don't forget those guys can catch too. It's a part of
right.
Go to Pollard. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, now you do have one of the great offensive line gurus in the world in that building, and big coach, aka Bill Callahan. Shout out to Rand for that one, for the big coach. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you get that man his respect for what he's done in this league. But all seriousness, there is an opportunity to run the ball. I think, you can run the ball out of these spread offenses. It looks different, but it's kind of one of those things where, remember how in college you had the pro style offense? Well, now the pro style offense is starting to look more like college style offenses. You see what I'm saying? The high school style offenses. Is now you get these guys growing up in these 4 or 5 wide receiver spreads with one running back. You got to figure it out. So it's going to look different. I mean, but I still think they're going to run the ball. I mean, you still have to run the ball in the National Football League. But as we know, it is definitely becoming more of a quarterback pass league.
Oh, for sure. And I guess that's kind of where my question really lies is coming into a game. How much of that is going to be dictated on the pace or the flow of the game? Or do you sense, at least with all these signings and with giving Levis kind of the keys to the car, are the Titans going to be very prone to line up and throw on more obvious in years past running downs? Or are they going to try and still keep it a little balanced more in your mind, maybe?
I mean, I think it'll be a mix, but also it'll be a combination of seeing how things go, calling the game as it comes. Because, I mean, you know, if Levis catches on and can do things, but also, hey, don't forget, Levis can move himself too. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can extend plays with his legs. He can go out and get you a couple yards if he needs to run. Now, I would like to see that young man slide a little bit more, you know, for his own health and sanity. I like to see him slide him more, but he can do some things moving the ball too. So I would say it'll be interesting. I don't really fully know because it's so difficult to say. We haven't even seen them have rookie minicamp yet. We haven't seen how they're going to look. We don't know, for instance, J.C. Latham is going to catch on at left tackle. We assume he will, but we don't know that. So there's going to be a lot of factors. But ultimately, and I do think people got to remember this, as much as Brian Callahan is known as a quarterback guru, don't forget he came up old school. Don't forget he came up where you still have to run the ball. You have to establish the run to set up everything else. So don't be surprised if they still run the ball. Also, remember, they ran the ball in Cincinnati too. It wasn't just passing. They ran the ball there as well. So, I mean, if I'm expecting it to look anything like it did in Cincinnati, they're going to run the ball some. They're going to have to.
NUBYJAS WILBORN of AllTitans.com joining us here on Main Street Sports today. And we mentioned Traylon Burks maybe being a little bit on notice with this signing today of former Bengals receiver Tyler Boyd to a 1-year, $4.5 million deal. As the receiver room has evolved, NUBYJAS, between this signing, you know, Calvin Ridley prior to the draft of the Tulane kid, you know, is this a situation where Kyle Phillips maybe needs to be a little on notice as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, hey, look, man, that receiver room's getting filled, man. And don't sleep on that Jackson kid from Tulane. That boy can skate. Which, now here's also the interesting thing. Okay, his 40 time at the draft at the combine was a 4.42. Remember when that used to be fast? Yeah. Like there was a time when a 4.4 was like, oh man, that guy is a burner. Now it's like, man, it's kind of middling, but he's game fast. I went and watched some of his tape. Hey man, that kid can fly. Also, don't be surprised at this new kickoff rule. He's your returner. Okay. And that alone would get him a spot on the team. Mm-hmm. Kyle Phillips can't do that. So Kyle Phillips will tighten up, but I think that's good. Competition's good. Because, I mean, there's a reason why Mike Vrabel got fired.
Well, yeah. And I mean, there needs to be,
you know what I mean?
There needs to be a level of discomfort. You know, when people get comfortable, they get complacent.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, there's no reason for the Titans of all franchises to be comfortable. I mean, let's just be real. I mean, you know, like look at the record the last couple of years. Not saying they're worse, they're the terrible franchise, like some people pile on them, but they need to be uncomfortable. Like other than maybe what Jeffrey Simmons, if you look at that roster, coming from who's left, other than what Simmons, Tajay Spears, DeAndre Hopkins, how many guys really should feel secure in their spots?
That's a question.
You know what I'm saying?
And you know, as you say that, NUBYJAS, and I want to get to Jeffrey Simmons in just a second, but you know, Chris Our absentee co-host Chris Yao put together a sticker in advance of last year's draft, Ran Carthon's first, hashtag Ran has a plan. Now, we didn't necessarily see that last year, but as he has worked prior to the draft, in the draft, and after the draft this year, it seems as if he does. Now, you've addressed receiver. You would think you've addressed it to the extent that you're going to prior to camp. As you mentioned, you got to find out if Will Levis can play. They're doing everything to do that. Is offensive line still an objective, or are they feeling pretty comfortable with where they are from a roster standpoint in terms of offensive line right now?
They feel better than they did. I mean, a lot better than they did considering what last year was. Now, how good they are really, we don't know. A lot of it's really going to be contingent upon J.C. Latham. Can J.C. Latham adjust to left tackle? But then in that case, you may still go get a right tackle, right? If J.C. Latham can't do it, then you need another left tackle. So don't be surprised if you see at least one more offensive lineman signed. But Lloyd Cushenberry at center, I think is solid. I think Skronsky's solid. I think Latham's solid. Daniel Brunskill has a chance to be solid. And then some of those other guys, like the Jalen Duncan, some of those other guys got to really tighten up. Is NPF, Nicholas Petit-Frere, can he elevate a little bit? So I think part of this is going to be the Titans really believe in Bill Callahan as offensive line coach, that he can get guys better. And go look at what he did with the Browns. Go look at what they were before he got there and what they got to after he departed. And like I said, the Browns did not want to let Callahan go. Okay. Mm-hmm. They did it because it's a very unique situation. Otherwise, he would have been in Cleveland still. Because look at what the Browns line did. And so maybe some of these guys who maybe weren't as good under the previous group could get better under Callahan, which is the equivalent of signing you guys.
That's an interesting question, and I'm kind of curious, NUBYJAS. So much talk about Big Coach, as you mentioned earlier. What is
a cool nickname?
Yeah,
that needs to catch on. Hashtag Big Coach.
Hopefully, Big Coach will get it rolling. And I guess I'm curious, what about him? Is it schematically? Is it just his attitude and intangibles? What's everybody in Titans headquarters so excited about what he's capable of, and how quickly is he a guy that can literally turn this thing around in such a short amount of time that we do have reason to be really excited, or is this thing maybe going to take a little longer than some folks might anticipate?
Well, when you ask the list of things what they're excited about, all those things, yes. But also just his knowledge and depth of the game. He did this thing like going into pre-draft where he had these video cut-ups of what he thinks is a good offensive lineman at each position, right? And each coach did their, like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. This is what would be ideal. And they said Callahan's was a master clinic, okay? And there's some good assistant coaches like Tracy Rocker on that staff, Frank Bush on that staff. There's some good, Bo Hardigree, who's an up-and-comer, former Tennessee ball quarterback, who's the quarterback coach, Nick Holtz. I mean, there's some good coaches on that staff, okay? And everybody was like, I thought I might have known something about offensive line play. I now realize after watching that, I didn't know about offensive line play. And that is the kind of reputation that he carries. Just little things like simple hand placements, simple foot movements, certain type of jabs, certain type of ways to rest. Like just so many things that, I mean, we could be talking for hours and hours. And I've learned things about offensive line play I never thought I would have even have cared about just from talking to people about him. So I'm actually really looking forward to I think we get to talk to them on Thursday. So really looking forward, hopefully get to spend a couple seconds with them. But just from what everybody says, he's just one of those people who just knows how to do it. And he has a track record of doing it pretty quickly. I'm not saying first game the Titans are going to run for 300 yards and pass for 400. I'm not saying that. But I am saying don't be surprised if you see some guys elevate pretty quickly.
NUBYJAS Wilborn of alltitans.com joining us here on Main Street Sports today. We've talked so much about this offensive unit in particular, but the defensive side of the ball got a little bit of a jolt yesterday as the Titans announced Marlon Davidson's return. What do you feel like is the significance of him coming back, NUBYJAS?
I mean, you got another big old boy who can move. You got another big guy who can make things happen. And, you know, he has shown that he is a rotational defensive lineman that can make stuff happen. I mean, I think that's just a good move to bolster that group. Still needs a little more, but I think that's a good start. Now, I will tell you, I think they made their biggest improvement in the secondary. Look at those. I mean, now, again, L'Jarius Sneed had the knee issue, so that's a bit of a concern. Awuzie, we'll see how that goes. But if you look at Awuzie, Sneed, Roger McCreary, that looks pretty good on paper. Now, you might want to see a little bit better at safety. And there's still safeties out there. There's actually quite a few safeties out there. So don't be surprised because, again, I mean, they only signed, I say only $4.5 million, which, again, relatively. Well, maybe for the rich pockets of Mo, you know, $4.5 million ain't no money. But,
whatever.
You know, but for the rest of us, where, you know, that's a lot of money. But relatively speaking, I say that to say the Titans still have money in the kitty for free agency. And there is a possibility that they could go out and get another safety, maybe even also another linebacker to add to the depth.
NUBYJAS, I got to ask you if there was any question about how happy DeAndre Hopkins is in Nashville. Did we not see that on full display? He was suited and booted coming out with Morgan Wallen for the opening night at Nissan, and my man was looking fresh to death as he strolled out there.
Yeah, and apparently no chairs were thrown from any balcony. So
it was a chair-free event this weekend, luckily.
We kept that off Broadway, which is a good thing. But no, I mean, if nothing else, Hopkins really does like Nashville. I know people who have seen him out and about, you know, kicking it, and he's very polite, very approachable, which I think a lot of guys get here and they're like, oh, well, there's a little bit more going on than I thought. And it's pleasantly surprising to them, especially if you can afford to live here, which clearly he can. So he enjoys
$5 million. Yeah.
Yeah. NUBYJAS rookies are coming in this week. As you mentioned, there will be some coach availability, but is there anybody other than JC Latham that you are wanting to get eyes on in particular?
Devondre Sweat. I mean, I think that pick, because it's so controversial, a lot of people think it's a reach. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't. I think he would have been a guy who would have won in the second round. Yes, he had the issue with the driving under the influence, which is a very serious thing. I also believe, from what I've been told, that he is very contrite about that, and I think he will. And from what I've been told, the Titans will make sure that that type of thing does not happen again. Okay, they will have protocols in place also to help him maintain his weight, which I will never forget. He said to me at the combine, he was like, "Hey, I'm one of those guys who I can't take a week off of working out. I can't be off my feet for a week because bad things happen. Bad things for me means gaining 20, 30 pounds." And I said, "Hey, young man, I feel you." I was like, I am empathetic to you, sir. I understand what that life is like. And I was like, hey, man, be glad you're only in your 20s. It don't get no better as you get older. But
doesn't get any easier, huh?
It doesn't get any easier. I'll tell you that. Trust me. Look at me. I can tell you, it don't get no easier. But what I will say about him, if he is locked in and if he is healthy, I think he'll be a steal in the draft, to be honest. Now, if he's not, that's going to weigh on Rand because Rand took a risk on him. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, he got that DUI situation the day before he was supposed to meet with the Titans. There were teams that would have told him to stay home. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, they're like, hey, man, like, how much respect do you have for us if you get something like that happen to you the day before you meet with us? They'd have told him to stay home.
That's a good point.
But the Titans went through the process and also went down to Houston and hung out with him and his family and his agent and the whole crew. And, you know, I'm going to say this. Unlike some people in this town, I'm going to give Rand the benefit of the doubt and say that I think that he has made a smart choice. Now, we'll see if he's right. But to me, Sweat, I think, is that guy. Other than him, I'm interested in Cedric Gray because he's a tackle machine. I'm also interested. I'm really, honestly, this is a very intriguing class. If you really think about it, if you look at the guys they signed, I wouldn't be surprised if Brownlee gets to play some. The corner, I mentioned the corners. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets to play some. I wouldn't be surprised if Jackson finds his way on the field. I wouldn't be surprised if Gray finds his way on the field. Oh, and then that Michigan linebacker they drafted with the last pick. I wouldn't be surprised if somehow he finds his way in the fray. So they made some interesting moves with the draft. So I'm really curious about how these guys go. And then you got a bunch of undrafted free agents. Can they find a running back out of that group?
Going to be interesting to keep an eye on this weekend, and NUBYJAS WILBORN will be doing so at alltitans.com. NUBYJAS, appreciate you taking some time with us here on Main Street Sports today, and look forward to catching up with you again here real soon.
Gentlemen, thank y'all for having me as always.
Thank you, NUBYJAS.
Absolutely. Hey, when we come back here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, going to talk a little Major League Baseball, and we'll do that after the break. Stay with us.
Wild horses are coming to Franklin. The Mustang Heritage Spectacular. 4 days of celebrity freestyle, liberty training, trick riding, and extreme Mustang makeover. Plus the shopping. Over 100 vendor spaces with clothing, food, home goods, and things you can't find anywhere else. All that and celebrity signings at a music stage too. June 20th through 23rd at Williamson County Ag Expo Park. Don't miss a moment with a weekend pass. MustangHeritageFoundation.org for tickets.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
May 7th, 2005, Julio Franco's solo home in the sixth inning was part of a 3-for-4 day as he and the Braves defeated the visiting Astros 4-1. At 46 years, 257 days of age, Franco became the second oldest player to homer in a major league game. The record at the time was held by Philadelphia Athletics pitcher Jack Quinn, who was 4 days short of his 47th birthday when he did so. Nearly 2 years later, on May 4th, 2007, Franco became the oldest to go yard at 48 years, 254 days, when he did so off Arizona 43-year-old left-hander Randy Johnson in the Mets' 5-3 win over the Diamondbacks. That was this day in Braves history. The ageless Julio Franco showing up on TDIBH.
You said it best, man. That dude ages like fine wine.
It was crazy. It was crazy to watch. He was something else. The Braves, who suddenly are terrible, I guess. If you watch Braves Twitter, I try not to participate, but I do watch from a distance. At 20-12, they suddenly couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat and all those other things. Well, they try to get themselves right tonight as Boston comes in for a quick 2-game series. Cutter Crawford, 2-1 with a 1.56 ERA, takes the ball for the visiting Red Sox. It'll be Ronaldo Lopez, 2-1 with a 1.50, going to the bump for the Braves at Truist Park. So, could be an interesting little pitchers duel there. Duel with an E, by the way, tonight. So keep an eye on that one. Verlander going out for the Astros at Yankee Stadium, 2-0 with a 2.08 ERA. The Yankees will start Luis Gil, 2-1, 3-1-9 in that 6:05 Central Time start up in the Bronx. But things aren't looking great in the pitching rotation all of a sudden for Wade's Astros.
No, more of the same, unfortunately, for Houston. Their starting pitching just continues to be a revolving door of injuries, as it looks like P. France going to miss some time. Shoulder injury, out, quote, a while, which is never good. Yeah. So add him to the list. At this point, we will play a game at some point later this summer of it'll be a great trivia game, who has not been on the injured list for Houston, because they have they've had some issues, and obviously the bulk of those injuries have came at the pitching position. So it's kind of bad news for them, and that's the frustrating part, is they've actually gotten some decent little outings the last couple of weeks here. So just when you think maybe you're turning a small corner, getting some rough news there.
Yeah. France with a 7.46 ERA in 5 starts at the major league level before he was optioned down on April 25th to Sugarland. Walked 4, gave up 3 earnings in 3 2/3 in his only start for the Sugarland Space Cowboys prior to this latest development, which leaves Houston, according to this article on The Athletic by Chandler Rome, with 5 experienced starters on its 40-man, not on its active roster, but on its 40-man roster. Meanwhile, the Astros planning to use a 6-man rotation over the next bit as this opener against the Yankees begins a stretch of 29 games in 30 days. So,
yeah, the Yankees clobbered them to start the season, and so hopefully Houston's primed for a little revenge, but it did not go well. They got 21-11 was the aggregate score in that 4-game series at Minute Maid to start the year. So that's kind of when things, ironically, you got to go back to August the 6th to find the Houston last victory over the Yankees. And the winning pitcher out of the bullpen, though, was none other than J.P. France. So Houston's, you feel decent with Verlander going on the bump tonight, but it will be a big series for Houston. We'll find out a little bit more if they're kind of for real. They strung together some nice wins before falling 2 out of 3 to Seattle a couple days ago. So if they can put together a couple here, maybe get back on the right side of the tracks.
They really had to dip into their youth, both Hunter Brown and Spencer Arrighetti. Arrighetti came up earlier this season and has struggled. But there's a little bit more depth, young depth, down below the major league level. A.J. Blueball has struck out 24 batters in 22 and a third innings at the AA and AAA level. So, maybe there's some help coming, but, it's certainly not tested. So gonna be a tough go, as you said, for Houston here over the next bit. We mentioned the Sounds played at Durham, played a 10:05 Central Time game, 1-9-8. Some news regarding a former Sound, scrolling through Twitter as we are wont to do, and also getting a text from friend of the show, David Wilson of the Robertson County Connection. Former Sounds outfielder Monty Harrison, and way we talked to Brewer Hicklin, former receiver at Alabama Birmingham, now with Sounds. Well, Monty Harrison, a former Sound, is set to walk on as a receiver at the University of Arkansas this year.
The old reversal there, man. That will be a fun story to watch. As this is a kid that it wasn't like he was a slouch. I'm reading more about him, and he's a 4-star wide receiver coming out of the state of Missouri and committed to Nebraska, but instead obviously goes with the Brewers and obviously ends up in Nashville. So we see this every now and again, and it's cool to see, and just kind of really puts an exclamation point on the statement that I'm not even in the ballpark of athleticism as these guys, because this is just crazy to think about that. Hey, I'm gonna hang up my pro ball career. I'm gonna go try and play football at SEC school real quick.
At an SEC school, yeah, 6'1", 218. He was a 4-star coming out of high school in Missouri. Hit 5 home runs with 23 ribs last year for the Sounds, but just never really got it going at the major league level. 176 with a pair of home runs in parts of 3 seasons at the major league level, with the Marlins and with the Los Angeles Angels. So never did get up with the Brewers. Started in the Brewers organization, came back to the Brewers last summer, and is now going to pursue football in Arkansas. So that'll be
growing up the Michigan fan. This is obviously reminds me of Drew Henson. So it would be cool to see if he can pull off and maybe make a go of this. Arkansas has been prone to produce, as we just talked about with Traylon Burks. They've been prone to produce some talented wideouts over the years. So maybe he can make a little run at it and pull off the double dip there. It would be kind of fun to keep tabs on as we head into SEC season. Obviously, no shortage of SEC topics, but add this to the bucket list.
Absolutely. We had an opportunity to speak with Monte last year. He was a Nashville Sounds guest with us in one of our Friday segments, and certainly be rooting for him. 1,007 receiving yards, 13 touchdowns on 60 catches as a senior in 2014. That's 10 years ago. Was a Nebraska commitment, but like you said, signed with the Brewers instead after getting picked in the second round of the draft that year. So be keeping an eye on that. I'm sure Sam Pittman.
You know what this means, though, is all the guys on the team that are under 21, guess what? They got their guy now.
Yeah.
He's signing up, and he's a walk-on. Yeah. He's the kids that are upperclassmen but aren't 21 yet. Yep, they've got their guy locked in now for all purposes going forward.
There you go. You want to make some friends, Monte? Here, go take care of this. Anyway, That wraps up hour number 1 of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company studios, we will be joined by the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters. Stay with us after the break.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2024 season. Spend your nights and weekends at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, throwback deals, live music, and more. Top talent will take the field at First Horizon Park against the AAA Minnesota Twins, Baltimore Orioles, Atlanta Braves, St. Louis Cardinals, Cincinnati Reds, and more. Tickets start at just $10 and are available now at NashvilleSounds.com. We will see you in Hit City.
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. In our final segment, Wade and I will give you our top 5 sports movie fictional characters. So stay tuned for that. Right now, we are joined by the Blue Raider voice at Choose Chip on X or on Twitter.
Whatever.
What exactly?
Yeah.
Chip getting us up to date on all things MTSU.
You kind of diverted me though with the top 5 fictional movie characters, and for whatever reason, the first handful that flooded into my brain were all from baseball movies.
There's been a lot of them.
Yeah,
a lot of good ones.
Yeah, and I think probably on the whole, there have probably been more baseball movies than other sports movies. So I think that's probably why there are more baseball movies that come into your conscious a little bit more quickly there, I think. But
Pedro
that's
Serrano. That's my guy.
shh, 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 shh.
Big
Don't give it
Jaboo guy.
away. Don't give it
Okay.
away.
Hats for bats. Keep bats warm.
Chip, Conference USA announced its all conference softball teams earlier today.
They
I
did.
believe.
And a couple of Blue Raiders made the squad. Ansley Blevins, who is the Blue Raider catcher,
Mhm.
and Shelby Eccles, an infielder, just two outstanding young ladies. Ansley Blevins, had a heck of a year at the plate, hitting a ton of home runs in a year where Middle set a school record for home runs. But in the end, the softball team, while they had some, it's kind of similar for baseball. This is, from a win standpoint, has not been the greatest season of all time, but there have been some unbelievable things happen to both the baseball and softball team. And softball, just with the power that they have hit this year, and however much credit you want to give Bryce Brents, who came on as the hitting coach this year, go right ahead. He's been a very good addition, but you lost your number one pitcher to the portal after a record-breaking season a year ago. And this is a reminder of just what the new world order, I guess, in college athletics can be, in that a year ago you win 41 games, get to a region final. This year you're not in the conference tournament. So that's a tough. The field is set, and in softball, for some reason, they only take 6. And so middle season came to an end on Sunday with a win over New Mexico State, who ended up being the 3rd seed in the tournament. But as you mentioned, the all conference team passed out today just prior to the tournament, and Ansley Blevins, who, by the way, is a double legacy student athlete at Middle.
Oh,
her
yeah.
mother was Angie Raffa, who you probably remember,
I do.
who was a volleyball player, very good volleyball player for Diane Turnham. And her uncle is Greg Raffo, who played baseball at Middle.
He pitched, didn't he?
He pitched.
Was he a pitcher?
He was a pitcher, and they were from Hickman County. And now Angie got married, and she and her family now live down in Jasper, and that's where Ansley did her growing up, and matriculated at GPS actually, and came to Middle, and has had a great career. And talked to her the other day, and she said that she is a double legacy. She goes, but really that had nothing to do with why I chose Middle. And Ansley is an independent enough person to where I believe her 100% that it came down to what was going to be the best fit for her. And she came to campus, and obviously the educational piece fit, and what was there with Coach Breeden and what they were doing with facilities. All of that worked in what she felt was the right fit for her, and she's been a great fit for Middle for sure.
Sophomore this year, hit 14 home runs on the year, the second most in MTSU program history. Hit 10 home runs in Conference USA play, which was a league high. And she's putting together quite the resume. This first team all conference goes with all conference freshman team, honors last year, all tournament team for the Conference USA tournament last year, and NCAA all regional team down at Tuscaloosa. So again, already highly decorated Ansley Blevins, and still hopefully 2 seasons to play.
That's right.
Because the transfer portal is real. So
Yep. Shelby Eccles, I mean, she averaged more than a hit a game this year. Started all 52 games, had 57 hits this season, which was number 5 in Conference USA. Stole 40 bases in 2 years as a Blue Raider, and she ends her career with a 320 plus batting average. So these two very deserving young ladies, obviously.
but like you said, Chip, it's crazy how quick it can turn. Again, like you said, went to the NCAA regionals last year, defeated host Alabama in the regionals, and this year can't even get to the conference tournament. It's a 6-team tournament. Middle finished 9th in the 9-team Conference USA regular season standing. So tough year, but again, got a little bit to build around with Ansley Blevins, among others, coming back, hopefully. So
yep,
we'll see how that goes.
Yep, and Coach Breeden and his staff will use their time wisely, and they'll get on the recruiting trail. And you know, we've seen them make that climb once before, or a couple of times before. And I know this is not the taste he wanted in his mouth at the end of the season. So I know they're very confident about what they've got coming back, and also what they've done in recruiting so far. So looking forward to that.
Yeah. Baseball went to Binghamton this weekend. Is that right?
That's correct. And, you know, this is about 3 weeks in a row that at least 2 weekends in a row where they have, you know, kind of gotten things turned around, and the pitching has started to come together. I'll tell you, Binghamton came in here in March and, for lack of a better term, slapped them around for 3 games and really dominated the series and swept it. And Middle goes up to Binghamton, and in their new $60 million facility up there, wins 2 out of 3. It got really good pitching, got good pitching in the midweek last week. So, you know, Middle goes into tonight having won 3 out of their last 4. And tonight, weather permitting, I'm keeping an eye on Twitter, as a matter of fact, to see if there's going to be any changes in the schedule, because it's getting kind of juicy out there right now. And so tonight the Blue Raiders scheduled to be over at Lipscomb, and that is a 6:00 start. The Old Pro will be doing a streaming only broadcast tonight from over there.
Lipscomb coming off of its 9-6 win up at UT.
Yeah.
Now number 1 ranked UT in midweek play last week. So that ought to be fun for the Old Pro and for the Blue Raiders as they head into Nashville to Dugan Field. Hopefully 6:00 start there before going to Jacksonville State this weekend for 3. So,
and that's going to be a battle. Jack State and Middle right now. Middle has the last spot in the conference tournament, and Jacksonville State is a game back, and so they go to Jack State this weekend with that on the line, and Middle's final series will be at home next weekend against Dallas Baptist. So, they, you know, you feel like you can hopefully do a little work at home. You've got things starting to come together, and you need to go down and find a way to steal a couple and win a series on the road at Jack State, a team that's had their struggles this year as well. But, you know, this past weekend, they found a way to beat Dallas Baptist 1 out of 3 in their series. So, you know, we've gotten here with 2 weeks remaining in the season, and still Western Kentucky is leading the conference standings, but just a game ahead of both Dallas Baptist and Louisiana Tech. So it's kind of all bunched up, and even in the final 2 weeks, there could still be a lot of movement in how it all, you know, fleshes out before the tournament down in Ruston.
Want to drop back to the Conference USA All-Conference team for just a second, because former Spring Hill standout Kat Carter, speaking of Jack State, was named second team All CUSA. She's putting together a nice little career down there. So congratulations to her. I know it's not the Jackson State segment, Jacksonville State segment, but did want to get that in.
Local tie, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. Chip, what was the emotion coming out of Starkville?
I think it was not unlike a year ago where, there was some level of satisfaction because of winning a first-round match against, we're talking men's tennis here, winning a first-round match against Georgia Tech, and doing it in dominating fashion, and then and had a very a very emotional doubles point. If you've not been to a college tennis match and see how competitive it gets on numerous courts at one time to get 1 point in doubles and how fast that action is, I mean, you're missing out on. It's almost like missing out on the final night of a college conference track meet where you have back-to-back finals, or even the TSSAA meet coming up where you have on that final day, you got all those final races just back to back to back. And it's really, those two sports in particular have their community. The tennis community is very involved. Sometimes the Main Street folks who are, sticking, football and basketball guys or fans, sometimes they miss out on some of that, but it is fantastic. And then, they had some weather in Starkville, and, you had to, I think Mississippi State had a pretty easy time with Alabama State. So they came back in the, for Mississippi State, their friendly confines, and they took advantage of their home court and got the win over Middle to advance on to the round of 16. It's, it's 5 straight years that Middle's been in the NCAA tournament, 3 straight years in the round of 32. So knowing Jimmy Borndame is satisfied and proud as he is, I know he is ready to make that next step. And now he can recruit to 2 of the best facilities around now that he has his outdoor facility open. And, they're always very active in recruiting. And I think you get tennis kids who come in and see this facility and the following that they've built, quite honestly, in Murfreesboro and within the local tennis community, and what a home court advantage they've built. There are going to be a lot of really good players who want to play here. And then you continue to do what you can to schedule the Power Fives that they have been able to do, have success, get yourself up in the ITA rankings, and get yourself to that point where you can host an NCAA regional and give yourself that home court advantage, and even better your opportunity of trying to make it on to the round of 16 or even farther.
Chip, I'm wondering, and I'm not enough of a tennis fan to know or to have looked. Did all 16 of your region hosts advance?
I don't know. I'm right there with you, but Jimmy could probably tell me right off the bat, but I don't know. But they have a decided advantage for sure, because basically it's the top 16 seeds host a 4-team event, and Mississippi State was either number 15 or 16 going into the weekend. So
16th.
Yeah. So that was one, that there was, you could look at that and say, okay, that may be gettable. And, but it just didn't happen this time.
Yeah, we were robbed, unfortunately. The Michigan/MTSU national semifinal that I was desperately hoping for. Michigan gets beat by Columbia, and MTSU bows out to Mississippi State. So I was robbed of that. I couldn't lose if that were to happen.
But it was Chip. Not my Columbia Lions who beat Michigan, though.
No, not those.
They were Columbia Lions,
That's
just
right.
Not your Columbia Lions.
Not yours. Yeah,
they were the powder blue Columbia Lions, not the purple, not the purple and white.
Absolutely. Hey, Chip, real quick, I wanted to ask you, what can you tell us about the Blue Raider Blitz that's coming up later this month?
Blue Raider Blitz has been moved a little bit earlier this year, and this is kind of a traveling road show that over about 3 or 4 days. And there you see on the screen the dates. I can give you a little further info, as a matter of fact, of where the actual locations are. It has normally ended in Murfreesboro, but this year it's going to kick off in Murfreesboro, and it will be an after work 5:30 deal at Happy's Sports Lounge, which is on West Main Street, right off the square. Has duck pin bowling, golf simulators. It's a really fun spot and good food. That'll be at 5:30 on Tuesday, May 28th. Then on Wednesday, the 29th, we'll have a lunch event in Tullahoma at Ascend Federal Credit Union's corporate headquarters. And they have been a terrific corporate partner over the years. Then that same night over at Riverbend Country Club will be another evening event, which we've had it there the last couple of years. And it, as you might well guess, that is the Rick Ensel Invitational over there for that one. And his buddies at Riverbend and in Bedford County, that part of that fan base that has become part of the Blue Raider Nation. They come out.
You're telling me Rick Ensel has friends in Shelbyville?
I'm telling you that, and so does Matt, and so that'll be on Wednesday night, and invite all the folks in Bedford County to that. Then on Thursday, May 30th, there will be an event at the Smyrna Event Center right there on Sam Ridley Parkway. You talk about putting some good groceries on you. That spot right there can do it. And if you want to get yourself on GoBlueRaiders.com, you can register to come and be part of the meal that is with those. And then it will wind up on Thursday the 30th, 5:30 at Tailgate Brewery out in West Nashville. And that night there is going to be a TV news anchor panel, I should say. We're going to have Steve Lehman, Chris Harris, Corey Curtis, and Jill Jelnick are all going to be on the dais and talking about their thoughts and issues in college athletics these days, and also about their thoughts on Blue Raiders and whether it's football or in their relationships with coaches and student athletes, that kind of thing. So that's always fun. Last year we did a female panel, a women's sports panel with women's sports reporters. So Jill Jelnick kind of fits in. She kind of dovetails. She got the invite last year, and falls right in line again this year, and well deserved, because she does a heck of a job and does a ton of work over at Fox 17. So
I wonder what a couple of MTSU graduates got to do to get involved with something like that.
That's right. Well, that's a good question. So we got to have you on. We'll need to do that. So
seriously, both Franklin and Columbia were Blue Raider Blitz sites previously. They seem to have kind of fallen out of the rotation.
Well, and I think that's exactly. I think that is what it is a rotation. And so, I'm hoping that Columbia or Franklin jumps back on. See, Lebanon was on a year ago. It's not on this year. We've been to Manchester, over to the golf course there. So I think there's at Willowbrook, and that was a super spot.
Oh, I bet it was.
Out on that back patio. It was really nice. So hopefully we can get back over in the Dimple and get back up into Wilson County and some others, and maybe even over there now that Coach Turnham is going to be heading over to Warren County. We might head over in that direction for
there's some Blue Raider representation over there.
We get Rob Nunley and Brian Kell involved over there. Let them beat the drum a little bit.
Absolutely. Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by TOA of Columbia. And Chip, you had mentioned Chris and I were fortunate enough to be able to go to the Coaches versus Cancer breakfast at 7 o'clock Thursday morning. I wasn't feeling so fortunate at the time, but
That's right.
at Brentwood Baptist Church, and got to hear Steve Lehman kind of mediate, I guess, a discussion with Casey Alexander, Brian Collins, Vanderbilt assistant Xavier Joyner, and one other coach who
Nick McDevitt.
Nick McDevitt from MTSU. That's right. There we go. Because I saw you there. I tell you, man, I don't do great work at 7 in the morning. But
I totally get that.
Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. It was well attended. It was for a great cause. They had a golf tournament at the golf club of Tennessee yesterday. Did you get out there for that?
I did not. I did not subject those people to my golf game. So
I get that. I get that. But the breakfast time notwithstanding, it was a great event.
Yeah, and I think one of the highlights is the panel discussion, because you get to hear from coaches, about, right now was kind of interesting because all of those programs are building their rosters, and Casey Alexander had talked about how he had just finished up his. Coach McDevitt was talking about looking for 2 more. Poor Penny Collins had to go find 12 of 13, and obviously the Vanderbilt staff putting a roster together there. But Steve kind of went down the path of and I think it got to when he talked to the coaches, we talked about a lot of different issues, but he got down to the end and said, okay, if you could have one thing on the court, one thing off the court you could change about college basketball, what would it be? And I think Nick McDevitt and Casey Alexander were thinking exactly the same thing. He just happened to call on Nick first, and Nick talked about that he felt very strongly about a need for transparency in the transfer portal / NIL when it comes to, how, player X is he's telling folks, oh, well, they so-and-so offered me this amount of money, and nobody knows what's true. And they're, whether it's coaches telling players, players telling coaches, players telling other players, whatever it may be. And what was funny is when Nick was talking through that, the other 3 heads were up there bobbing, we need something like the NBA system. If there's an offer sheet, that becomes public, and you can either match it or not. And or the player can choose whichever one it is. And there's some openness about it to where right now it is all cloak and dagger. And, and on the court, Nick talked about, he likes the idea of being able to call a timeout and get the ball at half court. And also the going to quarters. It would take me just a little bit of getting used to. I've been, calling games now in halves for so long. That would be a pretty easy fix. And the other one, I don't know. I know the NBA has it. The women's game has it now, of being able to call a timeout and get it at half court. And I'm thinking, do you want to be able to, get, real estate you hadn't earned, but I guess you do earn it by giving a token, which is one of your timeouts. But that's pretty interesting. They also touched on how much of what we see in today's game that Coach Bird had a fingerprint on, being on the competition committee.
It was some good stuff, even at 7 in the morning. So,
it was, and it was, and I enjoyed going up there, and I think you and I and Sam Doughton and some others our friend Joe Sullivan
Mhm.
was our benefactor on that to invite us in for it, and we appreciate him very much.
Absolutely. Joe has been quite the addition to the local basketball landscape in the short period of time that he has been in town. The former Boston Globe sports editor. We've obviously really enjoyed our relationship with him and being able to have him on with us to talk local hoops on a regular basis.
Yeah,
Again,
if you like local college hoops, doesn't matter what level, get on Joe's blog, because he every little piece of news that comes out he puts on there and does a great job with it.
NashvilleHoops.blog, by the way, if you want to look for that, and I don't know why you wouldn't want to look for that. So, Chip, as always, it's a pleasure. Look
Same
forward
here.
to visiting with you next Tuesday, and the Tuesday after that, I would imagine we will both be a little tied up.
That's correct. That'll be matter of fact, I'm having a skull session tonight with one Bradley Lambert to talk about Spring Fling HQ that will be happening.
Now let me ask you this: when you have a skull session with Bradley Lambert, are
I do
you
more
really
listening
having
than
a
talking?
Okay. That's what I wanted to clarify right there. Yeah,
that's right.
He's kind of telling you what's what, and you're nodding, kind of like the coaches were at Coaches versus
That's
Cancer.
right.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
right. But I think he said he's got a couple of new little wrinkles we're going to throw in this year. So looking forward to finding out about all that. And so, next week we can talk a little bit more about that. I'll have a little more info. So that'll be fun to talk about. And Spring Fling this year, looking forward to girls softball having a similar format to baseball, to where all the championship games will be at one site over at Middle and in the beautiful stadium there. So that Thursday and Friday of Spring Fling, with all those championship games in softball and baseball, and the state track meet going on right next door, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, it is. And it's all kind of right there close. Like you said, that will be an added attraction, I think, for high school spring sports fans. Looking forward to that. Chip, looking forward to you next week. As always, we appreciate it. And we'll catch up. When we come back to Main Street Sports today, we will be, 2 segments away from Top 5 Tuesday, where Wade and I give you our top sports movie fictional characters. But in the next segment, it's the grab bag. Stay with us when we come back to the Lee Company studios after this.
The wild horses are coming to Franklin. The Mustang Heritage Spectacular. 4 days of celebrity freestyle, liberty training, trick ride, and extreme Mustang makeover. Plus the shopping. Over 100 vendor spaces with clothing, food, home goods, and things you can't find anywhere else. All that and celebrity signings at a music stage too. June 20th through 23rd at Williamson County Ag Expo Park. Don't miss a moment with a weekend pass. MustangHeritageFoundation.org for tickets.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. In our final segment, Wade and I will be giving you our top 5 sports movie fictional characters. Now, however, it's time for the grab bag, and we're going to reach into it for an item that we wanted to discuss a little bit yesterday, but didn't really have the time that it deserved. The Arizona Bowl is set to become, for 2024, the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl. It'll be played on December 28th, kicks off at 2:30 p.m. Mountain Time. And without further ado, we're going to hear from the man himself.
College football fans are exhausted by the constant talk around NIL, conference realignment, coach movement, transfer portal, and super conferences. So it's time that we get back to the roots of college football, when it was focused on the colleges, the players, the competition, the community, the fan experience, and the pageantry. Being a fan, coach, supporter of all levels of the game, I sent many players through my SYFL to colleges and the NFL. So it's only fitting that I step up and help get this thing right. I'm ready to bring the juice back to college football. And I'm taking my talents. That's right. To Arizona. Believe me, Arizona, baby. I'm here to announce the new collaboration, the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl, presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop. The game will be played on December 28th at the University of Arizona Stadium in Tucson, Arizona. I'll be there. Will you be there? Well, guess what? We'll see you there.
I can't help but laugh. And obviously, recreational marijuana is legal in Arizona. Just felt like that probably needed to be pointed out. But this is indescribable to me that Snoop Dogg and football bowl game are being used in the same phrase. It's mind-boggling to me, in a good way. And I'm kind of excited about it. I'm sure that there will be some extra eyeballs on this event as a result of his involvement with it. But It's not something that I ever would have expected.
No, we've come a long way since Doggy Style. Let's put it that way. And, it just rolls right off the tongue, does it not? The official name is the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl, presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop.
Yep.
And it just rolls right off the tongue. And this was a bowl game, obviously, that had kind of gotten off the rails the last couple of years anyway, previously sponsored by Barstool. But what's crazy is the games have been fun. The games have been pretty entertaining the last couple of years. Wyoming and Toledo, I actually ended up watching that one last year. It's smack dab in that weird period in between Christmas and New Year's. So I've tuned into a couple Arizona Bowls over the last couple of years, and I'm glad to see Snoop kind of strutting his stuff a little bit and getting involved here. This will be a fun undertaking, I think.
Absolutely. As I tweeted yesterday, when I heard Snoop Dogg and Bowl, football wasn't the first thought that I had. But no, it's pretty intriguing, to say the least.
And the first bowl game that's ever been sponsored by an alcohol brand now.
Yeah, there's that as well. So it's definitely pushing the envelope a little bit, but no shock if Snoop's involved with it. Chris Yao is teed up. I'm not sure if he's going to be joining us or not. I know he sent us some information for the grab bag. I'm not quite ready to get to it just yet. But Wade, Minnesota 106, Denver 80 last night. What was your takeaway there?
Oh, man. And I did not get to watch any of this game as I was on the broadcast for Giles County Soccer last night. But holy moly, I did not see Minnesota, especially without Gobert. Especially without Gobert, I did not see them rolling into Denver and just steamrolling the Nuggets like that. The defending champs. Game one, I was willing to chalk it up to. We talked about it. They got down in every game to the Lakers, and it was like kind of playing with their food almost. And I think after game one, I was anticipating coming into game two, okay, we can't play around with these guys. And lo and behold, last night they got slugged right in the mouth again, and man, they did not answer the bell whatsoever. And the champs are absolutely this could be a top 5 tease, but the champs are wobbling a little bit right now.
Yeah, they're down 2-0 going to Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
That's, and unless you're the Atlanta Braves, you kind of like that situation. So we will see what happens next there. As I said, Yao submitted some information for the grab bag. We like to thump on the Athletics when we get the opportunity to do so. Not going to lie about it. And there is a piece of information out here. I think Sportico maybe put this together. The number of teams that are outdrawing the Athletics by league right now totals 553. Including every Major League Baseball team. 30 of the 32 NBA teams, every NFL team, 31 NHL teams, 58 FCS football programs are outdrawing the Athletics. And there's a nice little do we have it up? There's a nice little color-coded graph there of how many teams by league. 8 teams in the National Lacrosse League, all 8 United Football League teams. 12 NCAA baseball teams, 13 minor league baseball teams,
including the Nashville Sounds.
No shock there, actually.
No,
but,
it really isn't.
14 NCAA women's basketball teams, 7 WNBA teams are outdrawing the Athletics. So 2 NCAA wrestling programs, as well as 2 NCAA Division III football programs are outdrawing the athletics. So, Chris, would you care to expand on that, or did we pretty well?
No, I think it's just, I mean, Auburn gymnastics, like this is, this is incredible, man. I just, and this WNBA figure, by the way, is off of last year's average. This is not, year's. Yeah. So just think about that. Right. Last year's average.
Yeah, those numbers are going to go up once this season
drastically.
Starts. Yeah.
So anyway, I thought it was wild when I saw the sounds were tagged in it. I thought, oh, I've got to check this out. So
well, I had seen something at some point yesterday that Sportico was going to be putting something together on how many teams are outdrawing the athletics. Now, I don't know what the athletics number is, unfortunately, but there are 553 teams whose numbers are better. So
there you go.
Shout out to Wisconsin Whitewater holding it down.
D3 football.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Chris, do you intend to participate in Top 5
Might
Tuesday?
as well. I'm here.
All right. Well, then we'll probably need a little extra time for it. So let's go ahead and take our final break of the day here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back to the Lee Company studios, it will be Top 5 Tuesday. Stay with us after this break. I'm Maurice Patton, and on Main Street Sports Today, we bring you the voices of your favorite teams from preps to pros. Otherwise known as the VOT, Mike Keith.
The bottom line is we can teach Will Levis woke.
I just don't know who's going to work with you on your base stealing now that EY is gone.
Well, that has nowhere to go but up. And I was just like, oh, guys, not again. Can we just bury that, burn that footage, and not bring it back?
No.
No. Thank you. We'll keep it going past the All-Star break, and looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. There's always a good story to tell.
Can you guess where I am today, Mo? Where am I?
It's not Reese Smith Field, is it?
Yeah.
Because anytime you play Chicago, you want to win. That's just
you got that right, and
that's bottom line.
Be a buzz.
When you're walking the dog, you keep the bags that you need for the dog in the bag, and you don't even have to wear it. You can just hold it, which is what I do when I walk the dog. So
I think the fanny pack probably needed a little rebranding.
It really did.
On your show logo, we've got to get a puck in there. There's a basketball. There's a baseball. Maybe not a puck. How about Mo brandishes a hockey stick?
Tune in daily at 2 p.m. on Main Street Media TV.
It is Top 5 Tuesday, presented by TOA of Columbia. I want to mention to you, though, before I forget it and before we get up against going out, tomorrow's show will be coming to you from the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame as they complete their final full week at their current location. They will be going dark mid next week until they show back up at the new Nissan Stadium, basically. So be sure and check us out from 2 to 4 tomorrow. Again, we will be at the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame at Bridgestone Arena. Top 5 Tuesday brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness. 2 locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia. Thalas Steel. Whatever shape you're in, he'll get you in a better one. Be sure and find him at steelathletes.com. That's STEEL athletes.com. Mid-South 5 Fitness. Our top 5 sports movie fictional characters. One of y'all can go first. I'll defer to y'all.
Yow's up.
Yow's up.
Billy Bob. I sure do love that dog. I think it's a pig. Yeah.
coming out of the gate hot.
Billy Bob from Varsity Blues. I came up on the tail end of that a few nights ago, actually. So it's still in somebody's rotation. But yeah, that's
I give that pick a 10. How about that?
There you go.
Go ahead, Wade.
All right, I'm going to jump out of the gate. We mentioned baseball would be featured heavily probably in this, so I'm going to steal one out of the gate. Give me Crash Davis. You just flip on Bull Durham, and something about when it's sticky, and you can watch that movie and you can feel the stickiness and those warm summer nights. And we've got that. We got the cicadas going on. It's baseball time. Give me Crash Davis from Bull Durham.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I'm going to go baseball right out of the gate as well, but I'm going to go sentimental tearjerker. I'm going to go G-Baby from Hardball. So that's one that always gets to me, the way that played out. And if you've not seen Hardball, you're cheating yourself. So good Keanu Reeves flick. It's my turn. We're not used to having 3 people involved in this, so I get to snake it here, right?
Go ahead.
Let it rip.
Okay. I'm gonna steal Chip's pick. I'm gonna go Pedro Serrano from Major League.
He's tough to beat, man. Some Major League. I mean, we could just basically pick. We do a full draft just off that movie alone. If we really
most likely. That was the only one I've got from that movie, but there are certainly some others that would be solid as well. Wade, go ahead.
Up next, number 2. I want to go fast. Give me Ricky Bobby, Talladega Nights. You quote the movie all day long. It's one of the great comedies in recent memory, and I got to go Ricky Bobby because I like to go fast.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to go Talladega Nights, but since you did, I'm not going to go back to back. So
Arena football movies.
Give me Paul Blake.
Necessary Roughness.
Necessary Roughness.
Yep. There's another one off my list. You get to double up.
And then give me Chubbs. Just tap it.
Rest in peace.
From Happy Gilmore.
Chubbs from Happy Gilmore.
Nice. Nicely done. Okay. All right. Wade?
Hey, I'm taking this next one only because it literally just happened in real life a couple nights ago with the NFL draft. Give me Steamin' Willie Beeman, one of my all-time favorite movies in any given Sunday. And Michael Penix Jr., hopefully he will get the chance to flourish, much like Steamin' Willie Beeman did for Cap back in the day.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I am going to go back to Varsity Blues right here. And I'm going to go with Mox, Jonathan Moxon. And I get to double up. I'm afraid to milk this one any longer. But Ken Carter, Samuel L. Jackson's character in the basketball movie Coach Carter, who he said he based on the great Pat Summitt. So that's number 4.
Good pull, and I'm going in basketball realm too. You know, there's a number of different reasons you could maybe say I'm making this pick. I'll let the viewers draw their own inferences. But what about my boy Jesus Shuttlesworth? He got game, and like I said, you can speculate for why maybe making this pick. But Jesus Shuttlesworth from He Got Game, just rewatched that not too long ago. That's still a great movie.
Still holds up, huh?
Yep.
All right. Yow.
Give me.
Don't do it.
Give me Peter Brand from Moneyball. By Jonah Hill.
He walks a lot.
It's one of my favorites.
Great movie.
And then give me Give me Jake LaMotta.
Raging Bull.
Raging Bull.
Okay. All right. Wade, you have they call it, I guess, the penultimate pick.
The last pick for me, he's a villain, but I got to go with him. Shouts out to my boy. I don't know if bowling is ever going to get on this list, so I'm going to do the honors. And Ernie McCracken from Kingpin, his hair gets wilder and wilder as the movie goes along and really as the final scenes go along. And Bill Murray does a great job. I'm taking Ernie McCracken. Producer Mark, I have a feel, and might be a big Ern fan for back in the day.
As a host on another show in the area likes to say, there is still a lot of meat on this bone, and a lot of directions I could go in, I feel like, with a final pick. But I'm going to go to the football well one more time, rather than going with Roy Hobbs from the Natural, who I think would be a great pick as well. But I'm going to go Rod Tidwell from Jerry Maguire. Cuba Gooding.
Show me the money.
There we go. Show me the money. He was his ambassador of Quan. Yeah. So we will get these up.
I tried to stay. I couldn't do it. I had to go Jake there. But I tried to stay with like non-stars.
Mm-hmm.
Like I tried to go supporting roles as much as I could there, because obviously, I mean, the obvious ones are there, like Ricky Vaughn and whatever. But I tried to give some love to the folks who rarely get the love. I think we did a good job, all of us.
In that vein, I did have Jimmy Chitwood from Hoosiers on my list.
Yeah.
Clubber Lang was coming up if you give me another round or two, or Thunder Lips, I suppose, back in the day. But
so yeah, I mean, I think we did a good job there of not going the obvious ones. I will say though, man, probably my favorite character of all time, and is For Love of the Game. That's just such a great movie.
Billy Chapel.
And Billy Chapel is a fantastic character. Feel the mechanism, all that.
That's a good one.
Clear the mechanism.
I had Paul Crewe on my list.
Which one? Both.
The first one. No, I had the first
Adam
one.
Sandler was great too, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I had the original Paul Crewe on my list. So yeah, we'll get those up and get those out on social media channels, and hopefully y'all can tell us who had the best draft here on Top 5 Tuesday, again presented by Mid-South 5 Fitness. 2 great locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia. You can find Dallas Steele on steelathletes.com, STEEL athletes.com.
Hey, the best part, real quick, about all this, nobody picked Rudy because I didn't want to have to point out. I didn't want to have to point out that Rudy was indeed offside. It's kind of a point of contention that I've had going, and a lot of folks forget that he was indeed offside. So just I was making sure nobody went there.
I have caught much grief on this show for another movie that I've not seen, but the difference is I've just not seen Tombstone just because I haven't taken the time. I will not watch
it. We don't blame you.
Yeah, for too many reasons. I'm not watching Rudy. I'm boycotting Rudy. So
you ain't missing much.
I'm sure I'm not. Tomorrow on Main Street Sports Today, we should be visiting with Heather Williams, talking a little NASCAR and the photo finish out at Kansas. Join us at 2:00 right here. See you then.